fascinating pieces of evidence in South America have come out recently about these channels and pathways that they've found in the Amazon.
The Amazon rainforest is one of the largest and most mysterious places on Earth, a vast region filled with secrets that science is still trying to understand. For centuries, people have looked at it and wondered what might be hidden beneath its thick, endless canopy. But in recent years, discoveries coming out of Brazil have started to challenge long-held beliefs. Evidence of ancient structures, unusual land formations, and previously unknown human activity has forced researchers to take a second look at what we thought we knew. It suggests the Amazon may not be the untouched wilderness it was once believed to be. To understand why this matters, we have to go back to how the world has traditionally seen the Amazon. For most of modern history, the rainforest was viewed as a place untouched by time, a land dominated entirely by nature. Dense trees, heavy rain, and soil considered too poor to support large, lasting civilizations. Because of this, many assumed that nothing significant had ever truly been built there. That idea slowly became accepted as fact. Textbooks often described the Amazon as an empty green world, vast but historically quiet. Documentaries showed endless forests without hinting at any deeper human past. Even popular films turned the jungle into a place of danger and mystery, rather than history or civilization. Over time, the idea of ancient cities or complex societies in the Amazon was pushed into the realm of myth. Lost civilizations were treated as fantasy, and the possibility of organized ancient life in the region was often dismissed before it could even be explored properly. But history is rarely that simple. When you look closer, there have always been hints that something more was happening. Early explorers reported seeing long paths cutting through the forest. Indigenous stories spoke of old settlements and cleared lands that no longer exist. In some regions, traces of human agriculture have been found in soil that was once thought to be completely untouched. Yet for decades, these clues were often overlooked or explained away. Many experts argued that the dense forest creates illusions, distorts perception, and makes it easy to misinterpret natural formations as man-made structures. Others simply dismissed early accounts as unreliable or exaggerated. And so the dominant narrative stayed in place. The Amazon remained, in the public imagination, a world without history. But that certainty is now being challenged. The Amazon jungle is one of the largest and most mysterious places on Earth, full of secrets that have never been fully explained. For centuries, humans have looked at it and wondered what secrets are hidden beneath its thick canopy. But recently, what Brazil just uncovered has changed everything. From hidden stone paths and massive murals of long-extinct creatures to sealed chambers untouched for thousands of years, these aren't just rumors or fiction anymore. We now have real evidence that will not only shock you, but also make you rethink the history of our world. Let's dive in. The hidden parts of Amazon. For most of the modern world, the Amazon was seen as untouched, a place where nature had always been in control. Thick trees, heavy rain, and land too wild for music. Anything permanent. What existed there, people believed, had always existed that way. Over time, that idea became an accepted truth. Books described the Amazon as an empty green world. Documentaries showed endless trees as if nothing important had ever happened there. Movies like Anaconda or The Lost City of Z turned the jungle into a place of danger and imagination, not history. Slowly, the Amazon stopped being seen as a place with a past. Lost cities became fantasy. Ancient builders became fiction. In popular culture, the jungle either swallowed everything long ago, or there had simply been nothing to swallow. Instead of being treated as a real place with unanswered questions, the Amazon was pushed into the world of stories and imagination. And once an idea is repeated enough, it stops being questioned. Yet beneath the confidence, there was always discomfort. If the Amazon had always been empty, why did early travelers describe roads where no roads should exist? Why did some communities speak of old clearings that no one could find again? Why did traces of farming appear in places no farms were supposed to be? These stories were recorded, then ignored. Authorities called them misinterpretations. Explorers were labeled unreliable. The forest, they said, plays tricks on the eye. And so the idea remained intact. The Amazon was just a jungle until it wasn't. Because inside Brazil, a quieter discussion had started. In 2019, the country music approved a survey unlike anything done before. It wasn't meant to challenge history. It wasn't meant to change the story, because what began to emerge during that survey didn't just challenge an old belief. It suggested that the belief itself had always been wrong, and that the jungle had been hiding something far more ordered music than anyone expected. The biggest Amazon survey. In 2019, Brazil approved what became one of the most ambitious studies of the Amazon ever attempted. It was not a single expedition on the ground, but a wide effort led by Brazilian research institutes supported by universities, music and labs from South America and Europe. The goal sounded simple: understand the land better. At the center of this work was Lyre, a technology that could finally look through the forest without cutting it down. Aircraft flew above the canopy, sending millions of laser pulses toward the ground. Most hits leaf and branches. Some reached the soil. Those few returns were enough to build a hidden map of what lay below. Researchers from Brazil worked alongside archaeologists who had spent decades in the region. People like Michael Heckenberger, José Iri, and other specialists, music in ancient Amazonian societies. What made this survey different was the scale. Not one valley, not one site, but thousands of square kilometers scanned piece by piece. The data did not come all at once. At first, the images looked messy. Then, patterns began to repeat. Straight edges appeared where curves should dominate. Wide clearings showed up far from modern towns. Shapes formed that did not follow rivers, slopes, or erosion. These were not ruins you could see by walking through the jungle. They only existed when viewed from above. By 2020, the results were impossible to ignore. The survey had covered only a small part of the Amazon, yet it revealed dozens of large organized sites connected by roads, platforms, and open spaces. Nothing about them looked accidental. This was not proof of everything, not yet, but it was enough to challenge what had been taught for generations, and enough to turn the Amazon from an empty jungle into a place filled with unanswered questions. From this massive survey, researchers highlighted 5 discoveries that stood out from all the rest. Each one helps explain what the Amazon once was, and at the same time opens new doubts about how much we still don't know. And trust us, every discovery looks impossible until you realize it's real. The Ridge Anomaly. Deep in the heart of the Amazon, the Lyre scans revealed something no one expected. A ridge that didn't behave like any natural formation. Straight lines cut across its slopes. Angles formed where slopes should curve. Even from above, the edges were too clean, too deliberate, as if someone had measured every line with care. Scientists call it an anomaly, but calling it that doesn't explain it. Imagine walking through the forest and seeing a hill shaped like a ruler, smooth and precise, standing in the middle of chaos. That was what the data suggested. And the ridge wasn't small. It stretched for kilometers, its unusual shape clearly visible even through the dense canopy. When the first thermal scans were run, another mystery appeared. Parts of the ridge reflected heat differently. Sensors showed areas that trapped warmth as hidden chambers might. Geologists checked the mineral composition. Nothing matched normal formations. Some layers seemed fused, as if by high heat. The team debated. Was it a natural feature, a volcanic anomaly, or had humans been here thousands of years ago, altering the landscape on a scale no one believed possible? Even more surprising were the smaller patterns surrounding the ridge. From above, faint lines extended like roads, and wide courtyards appeared where none should exist. Locals had passed through the area for centuries without noticing anything unusual. Only this modern technology revealed the secret, hidden beneath decades of growth. The survey team felt the tension. Every measurement suggested a purpose. Every angle hinted at design. It was unlike anything previously documented in the Amazon. And if humans had built it, why? Who had walked these paths so long ago, leaving such deliberate marks on the earth? As the team prepared to begin work on the ground, one question refused to go away. What else was this ridge hiding? And the answer, they soon realized, would be far older and far more disturbing than anyone expected. The impossible murals. The ridge was already a mystery, but what the team found at its base answered a question that had haunted researchers for decades. Was there a civilization hidden inside the Amazon? And the answer wasn't just yes. It was far more complicated. Beneath layers of moss and centuries of jungle growth, they discovered massive rock murals stretching nearly 13 kilometers along sandstone cliffs. The paintings were created with red ochre, a natural mineral pigment that had survived over 2,600 years, dating back to the late Pleistocene. The sheer scale was shocking. Figures so high on the cliffs suggested the artists had used wooden scaffolds or ladders, some of which appeared in the paintings themselves. The scenes were astonishing. Extinct ice, music-age giants, mastodons, giant ground sloths, prehistoric horses, and gutheras moved across open plains. Humans were depicted hunting, dancing, wearing masks, and performing rituals. The precision and variety suggested intelligence, skill, and planning far beyond what most imagined for early Amazonian societies. Even more remarkable was what the murals revealed about the people themselves. They thrived during a time of extreme climate change, adapting immediately as the Amazon transformed from savanna and scrub into dense rainforest. And there were hints that these paintings were not just records. They were part of a living tradition, a way to communicate knowledge across generations, connecting humans, animals, and the land in a spiritual dialogue. Every panel, every line, every figure seemed deliberate, intentional, and meaningful. It wasn't just art. It was a message preserved for millennia, a map, a warning, or a memory. And yet these murals were only part of a bigger story. Hidden within the ridge, deeper paths and structures hinted at something even more remarkable, an entire system waiting to be uncovered. The ridge was speaking, and it was about to reveal how the ancient builders had planned everything with extraordinary purpose. The hidden clues of planning. The murals were only the beginning. As the team moved along the ridge, 3 clear signs suggested the people who created them hadn't just painted, they had planned. One of the earliest signs the team noticed was the presence of stone causeways. Long, straight pathways, music, lay with massive blocks cutting through roots and uneven jungle terrain. The stones were tightly fitted, almost as if measured with precision. It was the kind of arrangement that makes you think of famous unexplained stone sites in the world like Sacsayhuaman in Peru, with its enormous interlocking stones, or Stonehenge in England, where massive rocks were moved and placed with seemingly impossible accuracy. We know these sites, we study them, marvel at them, and still debate how they were built. But what the Amazon was holding was on a completely different scale of mystery, hidden beneath the jungle, long forgotten and almost impossible to imagine. Who had moved these weights through a forest that resisted every step? And why? The second clue was harder to ignore. Ceremonial platforms carved in perfect spirals. Music. Each spiral had a single marker at its center, smooth and symmetrical. Some resembled astronomical alignments. Others felt like gathering spaces for unknown rituals. Every line was intentional, almost impossibly precise for a civilization assumed to be small and scattered. But who had the knowledge or the vision to design such patterns? And what did it mean to mark or protect? Then came the most astonishing clue. Terra Pra, a layer of engineered dark soil. At first glance, it looked like ordinary earth, but tests revealed a carefully mixed composition, rich in charcoal, broken pottery fragments, and minerals not naturally found in that location. It was fertile, dense, and structured to last centuries, maybe millennia. Nothing like it occurs naturally in the Amazon. Whoever made it had deliberately shaped the land, controlling nutrients and drainage to preserve it over time. Each of these clues, causeways, spirals, Terra Pra, hinted at intelligence and planning far beyond what anyone expected in the region. But the most remarkable evidence was still hidden, buried beneath layers of mineral and stone, a space untouched for thousands of years. And inside that hidden space, the team would discover something that would shake everything we thought we knew about the Ice Age. The sealed chamber. The ridge had already shown hints of mystery, but nothing prepared the team for what lay hidden beneath layers of mineral and stone. After days of careful digging, they found a narrow entrance naturally sealed by centuries of mineral buildup. When they broke through, a rush of air escaped, smelling of metal and damp earth, as if the forest itself had been holding its secret for thousands of years. Inside, the chamber opened wider than anyone imagined. The ceiling curved smoothly, not jagged like a normal cave, reflecting the headlamp light in silvery and blue shades. Basalt pillars stood in perfect rows holding up the roof above. It felt less like a natural space and more like a hall built with care, a place made to music last. Think of walking into Petra in Jordan or hidden chambers at Angkor Wat where every corner seems purposeful, but here it was buried under thousands of years of jungle. The most shocking discovery was on the ground. Massive ribs, some nearly 2 millets long, were arranged in perfect patterns. These weren't just random bones. They belonged to creatures that disappeared at the end of the Ice Age. Giant sloths, mastodons, and others. Some bones were smooth, scorched, or marked with cuts, almost as if they were placed carefully for a ritual or memory. Around the edges were sealed jars fused into the mineral crust, music filled with thick black residue that burned faintly when touched by light. At the center stood a raised platform of a single stone surrounded by shallow grooves, music that seemed meant to guide water, light, or something unknown. Every corner of the chamber showed planning, intention, and memory. Yet, its creators remained a mystery. Who built this? How? And what? And the next discovery was no longer just about the Amazon. It was about our whole world, about life itself, because it was about to change the history of planet Earth, the way we knew it before. Evidence of catastrophe. Before we understand what this discovery really meant, let's step back and look at a real debate in science. Around 2,800 years ago, the Earth went through a sudden period of massive climate change called the Younger Das. Temperatures dropped, ice sheets shifted, and many large animals, the Ice Age megafauna, disappeared almost overnight. Scientists have debated the cause for decades. Was it a comet, a volcanic eruption, a chain of natural disasters? Few would have imagined the answer might be hidden deep in the Amazon until now. Inside the sealed chamber, the evidence spoke for itself. First, the remains of extinct animals, giant sloths, mastodons, and other creatures that vanished more than 1,000 years ago. Music were carefully placed along the chamber's floor. They weren't scattered randomly. The arrangement was deliberate, almost like a map or a message, and some of the bones bore scorch marks, smooth surfaces, and clean cuts. Carbon dating confirmed their age, placing them right at the end of the Ice Age. The black pool at the center of the chamber was dense and metallic, filled with unusual elements. It reflected faint images that seemed to shift almost like it was recording memory itself. Nearby, layers of soil and mineral crust contained microspherules and iridium, materials normally formed only under extreme heat, like what happens in a cosmic impact. Burned minerals on bones and surrounding rocks added more proof, music, that something extraordinary had occurred. The sciences fit together. The bones, the scorched surfaces, the iridium, the microspherules, and the black pool all lined up with the timing of the Younger Das, suggesting a sudden catastrophe had struck the region. Some researchers propose it was a comet or meteor hitting Earth, a possibility that could explain the massive extinctions and sudden changes to the landscape. Others remained cautious. But one thing was clear. The Amazon was not just hiding life. It was holding the story of one of Earth's most dramatic events. And now all these discoveries, coupled with the missing information, secrecy, and hints hidden in plain sight, were building towards something far larger. A storm of revelations was coming. Some of them are as chilling as the thought of a world forever changed, and some may be even harder to believe than the Amazon hiding it all. Theories and speculation. After all these discoveries, one thing became clear. There is no single explanation for what was found in the Amazon. Scholars, explorers, and researchers have proposed many theories, and each of them opens new questions instead of giving final answers. Some believe that humans, perhaps early populations similar to Neanderthals or other ancient groups, arrived here thousands of years ago. Did they stop briefly in caves, leaving signs and records of their presence? Or did they stay longer and build civilizations that we still don't fully understand? Could they have organized the forest, built platforms, stone paths, and shaped the land long before civilizations like the Maya or Aztec even existed? The evidence suggests planning on a scale that challenges what we thought ancient humans were capable of. Others point to dramatic events. The scorched music Ice Age bones, black pools, layers of unusual minerals, and traces of rare metals hint at a catastrophe. Music. Could this have been an impact event like a comet striking the Earth, wiping out species and changing the environment? Some argue the Amazon was a refuge, a place carefully chosen to survive these events and preserve knowledge for future generations. There are even wilder theories. Some claim aliens may have been involved, pointing to the perfectly aligned stones or impossible murals, but scientists are clear. there is no evidence for music extraterrestrial involvement. Then there is the deep history of the land itself. Millions of years ago, the rising Andes Mountains blocked the Amazon River, turning the area into a huge inland sea. Later, during repeated ice ages, much of the rainforest shrank into small, isolated patches. This forced animals to adapt and change, which is why the Amazon has such an amazing variety of life today. These isolated patches also became safe places, natural hideouts, where early humans could live and survive, hidden from the wider world. No theory has all the answers, but one thing is certain. The Amazon we see now is not a purely natural wilderness. It is a mixture of human influence and geological forces layered with secrets that challenge everything we've been taught. Now the fact is, even if we try to stay completely logical without drama or fiction, the Amazon still haunts us just by its sheer size and scale. Music. It refuses to be fully understood. Stretching over 6.7 million square km, it spans 9 countries, holds more than 390 billion individual trees, and shelters an unimaginable number of species, many of which scientists haven't even identified yet. Its rivers carry about 20% of all fresh water that flows into the oceans each year, and the jungle is so thick that satellites can't always see what's underneath. So that's the story of the recent Brazilian survey of the Amazon and the incredible discoveries it revealed. Some people question it, some even doubt it. But the reality is, until you know the full truth, you can't say who's right or wrong. Now, what do you think about all this? Were there really human civilizations in the Amazon? Were these ancient societies really capable of such planning? Or is there something else we're missing? Let us know your thoughts about this in the comments below. If you liked this video, ensure you give it a thumbs up. Also, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, because we will be uploading more crazy stories like this one in the coming weeks. Until then, see you.